Amesy here of Amesy's Antics. Welcome to my channel. I hope you are well today because we have some more Christmas crafting to get stuck into. This is another video in my handmade Christmas series because why not have a go at making lots of different handmade things for Christmas. And today's video I am going to show you how to sew a Christmas gnome, which you can see behind me here. Now Christmas gnomes are traditionally Scandinavian / Nordic folklore and have come into major popularity over the last few years in Christmas decor. Now traditionally I think they were designed to ward off badness, protect a home, offer some type of protection during the winter solstice / Christmas season. If you didn't treat them right, then they would get up to mischief and maybe cause you a little bit of bad luck. I think this has then since transitioned into being more of a Santa Claus figure where the gnomes would deliver gifts to children through the front door rather than the fireplace. And I'm not quite sure if that is still a tradition now or not. It's what I read on the internet. So have a little look up of Christmas gnomes if you want to know a little bit more about their past. But this is a really easy sewing project to do. There are tons of videos and articles out there of how to make a no-sew version of these using some old socks. I didn't have any old socks to hand, but I have plenty of material. So I wanted to see if there was an easy sewing version of these that you could mock up really quickly, and it turns out that you can. Now you can use a sewing machine for this or you can hand sew it, but if you would like to see how to sew a Christmas gnome, then let's get crafting. To make the Christmas gnomes, you are going to need some material. You want one for the base and then one for the hat. The hat one is slightly more decorative and the base one is maybe a basic cotton flannel type material. You'll also need a fur trim, some beads or buttons that are quite decorative, and some toy stuffing or stuffing from a pillow, whatever you would like, as well as some uncooked dried rice, and optionally you want some jingle bells for the top of the hat, as well as your general sewing items. First you want to take a round item and draw around this on the base material. Now like I said, this is a cotton flannel and I made cotton pads from this before, so I will link that above if you want to check that out as well. So basically draw around this and then cut it out. I am using a ring dish, but you could use a coffee jar lid or a plate. It depends what size you want your gnome to be. And then you want to create the body for the gnome. So using that same base material, measure out and cut out a square. Now mine is measuring at 18 centimeters by 18 centimeters for that pineapple dish that I use. However, it depends on what round object you have used to make the base for the gnome, so you can change these measurements up, but just make sure that it is an equal square. If it is too big, don't worry because we can trim this down later. And then once you have cut this out, you want to taper the square so that it gets a little bit narrower towards the top. So come in from the middle and taper up, and that creates the body for the gnome. Don't forget to cut down the fold line as well to give you the two separate pieces. And then it is time to head to the sewing machine. So what we want to do is sew up the two side seams of the body for the gnome. So start your stitch or seam doing a back stitch first and then a back stitch at the end of this seam, sewing all the way up the two sides. And this should create like a square tube type situation. And then it is time to attach that round base to that newly sewn tube / body. So start by placing the circle inside, making sure the body is still wrong side out, so the seams are outwards, and then pin around that edge. And I use the same method in making my DIY fabric plant pot, so I will link that above for you as well if you want to see how to make a fabric plant pot. So keep pinning this all the way around until the full circle is attached. Now if you find that the square piece is a little bit larger, then you just want to re-sew the seam, making it a bit deeper so that it does all fit together. And then head back to the sewing machine and sew the two parts together, going all the way around that circle, trying to keep the edge as even as possible, and remembering to remove the pins as you go because you don't want to break your sewing needle, and keep going until the two parts are sewn together. And then it's time to turn the gnome body right side out, ready to add in some stuffing. Firstly, you want to add in some uncooked rice to the bottom of the gnome. This will give it a little bit of weight and keep it in place. Now be careful how you add this in. You may need to use a funnel. I didn't and got rice everywhere, as you can see, but all you need is a few handfuls really to cover the base of that. Then it is time to add in some toy stuffing or pillow stuffing. I am using an old pillow here and just pulling out some of that stuffing to add in, and keep going until it is pretty stuffed but still movable around, if that makes sense. You then want to head back to the sewing machine and just sew that opening closed, back stitching each end of the seam. And now it is time to create that luxurious hat for the gnome. So you want to cut out a square. Mine is measuring at 25 centimeters by 25 centimeters, but obviously this will depend on what size your gnome is from how you've made the base. You may want to make it bigger or smaller, but once you have your square, fold this in half, right side to right side, and we are then going to just cut out a triangle of this. So starting on one end and going up towards the other to create the point of that hat. Sew a simple hem along the bottom edge of the hat. This will give the bottom of the hat a nice neat look. All you need to do is fold the material upwards, so wrong side to wrong side, so bits of the right side is folded in, and then just sew a simple seam all the way across. Try and do it as neat as possible because some of that stitching will be shown on the outside of the hat. Fold the material in half so that all edges are meeting, and you want this right side to right side so it's technically inside out, and then sew a seam all the way along that open edge, following the curve of the hat right up until that point at the top, making sure to backstitch at the start and end of the seam. Turn the hat right side out and make sure that that top point is pushed out as much as possible. You may need to use a blunt end of a pen just to really push this out, and then the little hat is made. Now I actually added on a jingle bell to that top of the hat, but this is optional, so you can decorate the hat however you like. And finally, it is time to start assembling the gnome. So you want to use a bead or a flat button and hot glue this onto place onto the front of the gnome. Now to get the point where this goes, I actually placed the hat on to see where the hat finished and then removed it before gluing it because I didn't want to get glue everywhere because I know how clumsy I am. And then just hot glue this into place, protecting them fingers because the hot glue is very hot and you don't want to burn yourself. To create the beard for the gnome, you want to use some faux fur trim, that's a bit of a tongue twister, and mark this where you want the beard to sit and cut through. Now it's important to cut through the matting or the backing of this rather than the fur, as this will reduce the amount of fur that sheds from the trim. And then you want to turn it over and sort of mark or cut out a U shape, and this will give it like that beard that is going down into a bit of a point, again cutting through the backing only to create the shape of that beard. Use some more hot glue along the top edge of that fur trim beard to help secure it in place on the gnome. Again, be very careful with this because it is hot. As you can see, the steam coming off this glue. You don't want to burn your fingers, it does hurt. Trust me, I've done it too many times. And then stick it on place onto the gnome's body, making sure that it goes around that button nose so it looks like a beard underneath a nose. And finally, it is time to add that lovely decorative hat, and obviously mine has that jingle bell on now. So all you want to do is place this over that gnome body, squishing the body up into the hat, as this will help the hat stand up a little bit on edge, and making sure you bring the edge of the hat right down to where the top of the nose and beard is, so that it looks like his nose and beard is poking out from underneath the hat. Once you have done this, the little Christmas gnome is complete.
Jingle bells ringing in my ear. Jingle bell, a sound that's oh so dear. Frosty the snowman is all around town. Watch out for reindeers are falling down. We stay up waiting for Santa tonight. He climbs down the chimney at the speed of light, while we're dancing around the Christmas tree, hugging and kissing, just you and me. Carolers are singing.
So there you have how to make a really cute Christmas gnome, and it is an easy sew project. I think this has turned out beautifully. I love the Scandiness of it, so it's quite minimal, but then adding this velvet hat has given it a little bit more of that luxe vibe. So I'm calling this like a Scandi luxe Christmas decor. I think it is beautiful. And have you heard the little jingle bell on top? That is just Christmassy, is it not? The lovely fur beard and the little art deco button nose just really finish this off. Really easy to make, and you can make a ton of these. I know I am going to be making a lot more of these with different coloured hats to suit my various decor around the house. Now these are really good because the hats are interchangeable. We haven't secured them on, they are just pushed on. So if you do want to change up your decor at any time but keep the gnome, then all you need to do is make a new hat for them. I mean, it's easy enough to whip up a new gnome, but if you want for quickness, you can make new hats and change these up really easily. So let me know what you think in them comments below. I would love to know what you thought of this Christmas DIY, and whether you'll be giving it a go and making your own Christmas gnomes this year. If you've enjoyed the video, then please do give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to keep up with more of my crafting antics. There's lots of different Christmas craft, handmade Christmas stuff coming up onto the channel, ranging from different decor items like this to maybe some gift ideas and even edible gifts. I can't wait to get making lots of Christmas stuff this year, so be sure to hit that subscribe button if you are not already subscribed and it sounds like something you would enjoy. Also check the notification bell as well, because that will alert you every time my videos go live. Check out the blog Ames's Antics, which is linked below, because there's always a ton more information over on the blog for you to check out. And with that said, I will see you in next week's video, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day and week, and I will see you next time. Happy crafting! Bye!